Big dreams require bold moves. You can't do big trying to hold on to everything. You can't do big when you only want to give up something small. You can't do something big for the world or for other people if you only want to do what's comfortable. You can't do big if you only want to do what makes you feel good on the inside. Sometimes you're going to have to get outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes you're going to have to do something that makes you a little bit uncomfortable. Sometimes you're going to have to inconvenience yourself. Sometimes you're going to have to show up to the spot where nothing else makes sense. Sometimes you're going to have to show up even when nobody else believes, but you're going to have to do a big thing. You're going to have to make a bold move if you have a big dream. Welcome to the DreamDivers Podcast. This is the coaching show that is designed to help people just like you, people who know in their hearts that they were made to do something bigger, more purposeful, and legendary with their lives to impact the world. My name is Ira Davis, the Chief Dream Diver, and I am your dream development coach. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Now listen, over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting some amazing feedback from some of you saying, hey, listen, Ira, I am loving the DreamDivers podcast. It has been feeding my soul, and this is literally the show that I never knew that I needed. And quite frankly, it's been waking up some things on the inside of me that I never knew existed. But how do I know if I am true DreamDivers material? Like, how do I know if I have the potential to be a true world changer? Well, listen, I'm glad that you asked, because my team and I, we've created a free resource for you called the DreamDivers Assessment. Now, this assessment is a series of short questions that will help us give you a personalized analysis and a roadmap to help you start on your journey to become the man or woman that you are supposed to be. Now, listen, to get access to this assessment, all you have to do is go to my website right now at www.dreamdiver.co. Click the blue button that says free assessment, and within minutes, you will be emailed some personalized results and coaching directly to your inbox. On today's episode, I want to talk to you about the topic, big dreams require bold moves. Now listen, I don't know if you've been listening to the podcast over the last few weeks, but I've been interviewing some of the most incredible and some of the most awesome dream divers on the planet, and we're just getting started. Like, I got so many more interviews already done that I'm excited to launch to you over the course of this podcasting season. But listen, I want you to catch there's a common thread in all of these interviews that I've done over the last couple of weeks and launched for you. Like, all of these dream divers have had to unlock their God-sized dreams, and they had to discover and accept what their purpose was. But then they all had to do one critical thing that allowed them to become the person that they are today. They had to make a bold move. Like, listen, remember last week's episode number 10 with Nicole Austin, right? Nicole's husband had gotten cut from the Washington Redskins as a wide receiver, and they came back here, and she felt in her spirit that she was supposed to be creating an early childhood education center for kids and for low income and low and moderate income families who could not afford quality childhood education. And so as Nicole and her husband were out looking for places to put this preschool, to put this place of refuge that would be for families that needed somebody who could care in the only way that they could care for people in that situation, because they were there. Like, literally, when they went to go sit down, you remember the episode from last week, when they went to go sit down with the landlord who owned the property that they now have their preschool in, that they're making impact in people's lives in Los Angeles, California, right? When they went to go sit down with her, like, they had no money in their pocket. We're talking about cents to their name, and they had no expected time frame of when they would actually start making money through this preschool. But they made a bold move because they had a big dream. Nicole still went and sat down with that landlord, and she still told the landlord, hey, listen, this is the place for this dream. This is the place for this purpose-driven business. This is the place where we will impact people's lives from this place moving forward. I've seen it already in my dream. This is where the cribs will go, and this is where that will go. This is the facility that we want to use to do what we have been called to do. I'm talking about she had to make a big, bold move, walking in there with no money, no collateral, saying this is our place. And guess what, y'all? She got the place with no money and no idea of when the money would start coming in. But I'm talking about when you have a big dream, you're going to have to make a bold move. Let's look at episode number 10, right? Where we talk to world-renowned Hall of Fame surfer CJ Hobgood, my guy CJ, who after retiring from surfing had the opportunity to step into the role as a co-founder of one of the biggest global brands on the planet right now. We're talking about Salty Crew, y'all. But he quickly saw that there was a gap between who he was and who he wanted to be for his family. He went home after retirement and he recognized that the guy that he was, who he showed up to be for his wife and for his daughters, was not the person that he knew in his heart that he was supposed to be. And so CJ had to make a bold move. Like literally, he had to shut down everything that was going on around him. He had to shut out all the noise so that he could get quiet with God, and so that he could learn how to love his family, how to love himself, and how to be the man that he needed to be at home for his wife and for his family. Come on, y'all. And then he could take that back to his business and become the co-founder, the partner in that purpose-driven business, so they can go out and do unthinkable and unimaginable things, right? Who remembers episode number 6 with Carver's Webb, aka Dunk? Come on, I know y'all remember this episode, right? Dunk, at the age of 4, he was shot, I believe, in his stomach. He was paralyzed, but he survived and he's walking. The doctor said he would never walk, he would never run, he would never be able to play sports or do anything, but Dunk is alive, well, and walking, and you wouldn't even know unless I told you, right? Then he was sentenced to prison for a crime that he didn't do, but miraculously, is Dunk in prison? No, he's not. Dunk is alive and free and well, right? He's no longer in prison, right? But then after he came home from prison, Dunk walked right into this promising and profitable rap career where he was rapping alongside one of the most prominent hip-hop icons there is right now, Lil Boosie, right? He had a rap career opening up for this guy, one of his cousins, and one of his family members that he grew up with, Lil Boosie. But Dunk had to make a bold move. He had to make a bold move. You heard the episode one morning, he was up brushing his teeth, and God just began to deal with his heart and let him know that there was a bigger plan for his life, that he was meant to do something that was purpose-driven with his life, that he was meant to go around the world and inspire young people and inspire audiences, to let them know how God had transitioned him and transformed his life from being paralyzed, from being in jail, from walking out of a rap career. Dunk had to make a bold move. He had to walk away from guaranteed money. He had to walk away from guaranteed income, guaranteed fame, guaranteed association, so that he could pursue the God-sized dream for his life. And now he's traveling around the country speaking and inspiring people to be who they're supposed to be in God. Come on, y'all. Episode number 4. Y'all remember this? This was our first guest interview where we had my man Bob Dalton on the show, the founder of Sackcloth and Ashes. I'm talking about this inspiring, purpose-driven company that it has a 1-for-1 blanket model where for every blanket you buy from their company, they donate a tangible blanket to a homeless person in your community, in your local environment. We see that Bob had to do something ridiculous. Like, he literally went and cleared out his bank account and he bought sewing machines. He didn't know how to sew. He didn't have that skill set, but he knew in his heart that he was called to be a company, to be a conduit, to be a bridge for homeless people. Why? Because his mom had gone through something that was traumatic, and he started to wrap his head around, oh, this is what I was called to do. This is a part of who I'm supposed to be. And he went and he made a bold move because he had a big dream. Y'all, come on. He cleared out his bank account and he went and bought sewing machines to start his company. Come to find out that sewing wasn't even a part of what he was supposed to do, but it was because he made that bold move that what happened next, y'all, what happened next ignited the rest of what he was supposed to do. Because the people around him saw him taking a bold move, but because the people around him saw him taking action that didn't make sense, but it inspired them to step into who they knew they were supposed to be. One of his good friends literally quit his job to start helping Bob grow the dream and scale his impact. Come on, we're talking about a bold move because of a big dream that inspired somebody else to make another bold move that ignited the dream and that created impact. And now they're working with companies like Starbucks and Toyota and universities and all kind of companies around the world. And these companies are buying blankets from Sackcloth and Ashes so they can turn around and donate blankets to homeless shelters around the country. We're talking about big dreams require bold moves. Now listen, in my life, in my own life, I can count numerous times where my big dreams required me to make bold moves. I don't think you heard what I said. There were numerous times in my life where my big dreams require me to make bold moves. Like, I remember when I was about to get out of the Marine Corps, y'all heard this story, right? And I first started my production company, 412 Studios, and I wanted to make a film for NFL legend Eric Dickerson, right? I had no experience, no credentials, but I knew that there was something brewing on the inside of me. I didn't know that it was going to turn into what it is today in my production company. I had no idea at this point. This was just the seed of this company, right? And so I knew I had a dream to create films that inspire, that impact, right? And so I picked up the phone and I called Eric Dickerson and his foundation, and I emailed until they responded. And a couple of hours later, I'm talking about, because of a bold move, I had nothing to show this company other than a video of me filming my son at 5 years old playing flag football. I made a bold move, and I called an NFL Hall of Famer in his company. I said, hey, listen, I want to come in and I want to put my camera on the great things that you're doing to help inspire more people to do what they're supposed to do with their calling, with their resources, with their life. And literally within hours, I got a call back and they hired me to come on the field with NFL legends, with NFL greats. We're talking about big dreams require bold moves. And it was because of that bold move that day, all those years ago, back in 2014, because of that bold move, I am where I am today. I've been able to put my camera on some of the greatest people because I made that first bold move. Since that time, I've been able to film documentaries with Olympic athletes and world-renowned fitness entrepreneurs and personal brand. Like, I've been able to create films on some people that I would have never been able to get to had I not made that first bold move with my big dream. Now listen, I remember when it was time for me to transition into this speaking and coaching umbrella of where I am at this point. And I remember an acquaintance of mine who had seen me do some documentary work in the past. I remember he texted me one day and he was asking me if I could come in and would I be willing to be a part of his team to help him create some content to inspire high performers, because he's a coach that inspires other people who are high performers. And he wanted me to come in and do some video content work for him. And he knew me in passing because he saw me do some documentary work for another NFL athlete that he was coaching, that I was associated with. We were making a film for his foundation. And so he asked me to come in and make this video for his brand. And so I remember specifically that conversation through text. I remember God stopping me in my tracks before I even responded. And he said, listen, it's time for you to step into who I really called you to be. I know you can go over there and you can push the red button for him and you can make some great content for him and he'll be happy and you'll get paid, but you are more than that. I've never called you to be a videographer. I've never called you to be a content creator. I've never called you with a camera in your hands. I've called you to create documentaries. I've called you to create films that inspire people to go after their dreams. And if it is not that, that is not what I've called you to do. I need you to get on the phone with this young man, this future client of yours, and tell him who you really are. Come on, y'all. We're talking about bold moves. We're talking about, I had to literally walk away from some guaranteed money. Like, he was ready to pay me to make this content for him. And at this point in my journey, right, my family could use every dollar that we can get our hands on. And God was like, no, I want you to make a bold move. I want you to take a bold stand, and I want you to tell him who you are and how you can really help him. So I had to go back to this future client of mine, y'all. Come on, hear me. I had to go back to this future client, and I had to look him in his eyes, right? It wasn't like literally, but through text. I had to literally stare down this text message, and I literally began to tell him who I was. I said, listen, in no way, shape, or form am I a videographer. I said, with this production camera in my hands that you've seen me with in the past, I'm a director. But more than a director, I'm a coach, and I coach through my films to inspire people to die for their dreams. I said, but making films is just a fruit of the tree of who I really am. I said, but what I really am is I'm a dream development coach, right? I help pioneers, visionaries, and world changers. I help them discover their purpose, unlock their dreams, and I help them die for their God-sized dreams to impact the world. That's who I really am. And so, guys, what happened next surprised me. I mean, you talking about blew my breath away. Not only was he inspired, but he asked me to come in and he asked me to brief his entire leadership and executive staff on who I really was and what I can do for their company. We're talking about somebody who leaps and bounds beyond where I was and anybody that I had ever coached. And so what blew me away was not only all of that, but what happened after we started our coaching sessions. After every session, he would pull me to the side and he would look me in my eyes and he would shake my hand or give me dap or give me love. And he would look me in my eyes and he would say to me, he said, listen, Ira, I'll be honest with you. I feel like I got to steal. I'm so lucky and I'm so blessed that I was able to have you come coach me, have you come inspire me, have you come empower me, because I know that you're about to blow up. And so I feel blessed that I get to have you first before the rest of the world gets to have you. Now, come on, we're talking about somebody who had never coached anybody at that caliber. We're talking about somebody whose income level was probably 3 to 4 times anything that I had ever made or seen. But he was looking at me in my eyes, telling me how blessed and how inspired and how grateful he was that he was able to hire me as his coach. Now, I want to tell you guys, I want you to hear me. This is not about money. This is not about status. This is about me taking a bold move because I had a big dream to be able to coach pioneers, visionaries, and world changers, right? I could have walked in and did the could thing, but I knew in my heart that I was supposed to do the should thing. I knew that I could create content for him, but what I was born to do was to coach and to inspire people of his caliber to be great and to pursue what they were born to do so that they can impact the world in ways that they couldn't even imagine. Come on, I'm talking to somebody today. Big dreams require bold moves. If I would have never taken that bold move, if I would have did what was easy, if I would have just said yes and taken the easy money, I would have never been positioned to be who I am today. But it was because I made a bold move, because I had a big dream. And for some of you, you've been sitting on that bold move. You know in your heart that you've been prompted to do something bigger. You've been prompted to take a move that doesn't quite make sense. You've been prompted to do something that you can't quite explain, but you've been sitting on your hands. You've been sitting on the dream. You've been trying to tuck it away because you're scared of looking foolish. And I'm telling you today that if you are going to do something that's world changing, if you're going to do something that's game changing, you have to be willing to look foolish. You have to be willing to look a little crazy. You have to be willing to look a little cuckoo. Like anybody who ever did anything amazing for the world, anybody who ever did anything outstanding, impactful, world changing, had to be willing to look foolish, right? Before the car was invented, there was the horse, but the person who was working on the car, right, Henry Ford, he probably looked foolish because nobody thought that it was possible. Anybody who was working on the electric car before the electric car was invented had to look foolish because who would have ever thought that a car can move by battery alone? Come on, whoever thought about the spaceship and taking people to space and going to see the planets, they had to look foolish before they created. And I'm telling you today, if you're going to do something that's world changing, if you're going to be a dream diver, somebody that's going to pioneer something that's great, that's going to change the face of this planet, you got to be willing to look foolish for a minute so that you can change the world for a lifetime, right? Listen, dream divers, it was because of an extremely bold move. It was because of an extremely bold move that I sit here today. Like I'm here right now in my living room, in my house, because of a bold move. What are you talking about, Iron? Right? Like this is my living room that I'm in right now. You probably can't tell, but I know, and the people on my team know. Like this is my living room. Well, wait a minute. Aren't you supposed to have couches in a living room? Like, isn't that the area where your family is supposed to like watch TV and watch movies and watch the game and spend time together? Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be, but it was probably about 6 months to a year ago, I remember feeling in my spirit that it was time for me to stop waiting for people to put me on. And it was time for me to use what I had in my hands to get to the world, to be able to speak this message, to be able to preach the gospel of purpose and God-sized dreams into your heart, into your ears, into your living room, into your family members, into your friends. I knew that it was time for me to stop waiting on somebody else to discover what was in me. And it was time for me to start getting it out of me and getting it into your ears so that you can become the person that you were supposed to be. So what did I have to do? I felt in my spirit that it was time for me to turn my living room into the place that would become a beacon of light, a lighthouse to every pioneer, visionary, and world changer who ever existed. I had to turn this place into the place where I can beam my spirit, beam my energy out to all of you who are watching and listening right now. So I had to go through a crazy thing. I had to do a bold thing. I had to do a cuckoo thing. I had to go to my wife, right? Come on. Y'all know, if any of you are married or you have mothers, you know that the living room is a sacred place for a woman. I had to go to my wife and I said, hey, babe, I think I need to turn the living room into my YouTube studio so I can start recording podcasts and start getting this message out to the world so that people can become the dream divers that they were always supposed to be. I think we need to throw the couches out and turn this into a YouTube studio. And y'all would believe it or not, as scared as I was of what my wife was going to say, I was scared as I was of what she was going to think. My wife looked at me in my eyes and she said, what are you waiting for? She said, what are you waiting for? It's been time. It's been time for you to do a bold thing. It's been time for you to step into who you know you were supposed to be. And I'm telling you today that you would not be hearing my voice unless I had made the bold move to throw my couches out so I can come to you the way that I'm coming to you. If I had not gone to my wife and say, hey, I know you love your living room, but I love what God is doing in me just a little bit more than this living room. Let's go do what we've been born to do. Let's do a crazy thing. So what about the people who come over to your house to come see you, to come meet with you, to come break bread with you? What about, well, listen, they just gonna have to sit on a chair, or they gonna have to sit on a lawn chair, because what God is doing in my life, what God is about to do through my family, it requires a bold move. It requires me to get just a little bit uncomfortable so I can do what only I know that I can do. And I'm telling you today, if you're listening, if you're watching, big dreams require bold moves. You can't do big trying to hold on to everything. You can't do big when you only want to give up something small. You can't do something big for the world or for other people if you only want to do what's comfortable. You can't do big if you only want to do what makes you feel good on the inside. Sometimes you're going to have to get outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes you're going to have to do something that makes you a little bit uncomfortable. Sometimes you're going to have to inconvenience yourself. Sometimes you're going to have to show up to the spot where nothing else makes sense. Sometimes you're going to have to show up even when nobody else believes, but you're going to have to do a big thing. You're going to have to make a bold move if you have a big dream. Now, listen, if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. It's critical. I want you to hear me. It's called ridiculous faith. What am I talking about? Ridiculous faith. The only way to make a bold move is to have ridiculous faith. I'm talking about faith in God. I'm talking about faith in yourself. I'm talking about faith in the dream that all things are possible and that you belong in the right situations with the right people and with the right opportunities. I'm talking about the future is given to the bold, not to the meek, not to the quiet, not to the shy, not to the person who doesn't understand who they are. The future is given to people who are willing to make bold, audacious moves. Is that you? I know it's you because you're still listening. Those people who are willing to look foolish for what they believe their purpose is. The future is given for the people who are willing to press in when they know that there's a breakthrough on the other side of this bold move that doesn't quite make logical sense. Even when no one else sees it or believes in you or will back you up, I'm telling you, you must have ridiculous faith. You must make a bold move because you have a big dream. Like, ridiculous faith will help you make a bold move so that you can accomplish your big dreams to impact the world. But here's the sad truth, Dream Divers, and if you're listening, I want you to hear me. The sad truth is this, is that most people will never achieve their God-sized dreams. It's because they want to only make a small, comfortable, and convenient logical move. But not you, Dream Diver, not you. Today is the day that you start making some bold moves. Today is the day that you start making some bold moves that scare you, that scare your spouse, that scare your children, that scare the people around you. Today is the day that you start making some bold moves so that you can accomplish your big dreams. Thank you so much for watching this podcast. I hope it inspired you. Now, I need a huge favor. I need you, no matter what platform you're on, I need you to find that subscribe button, that like button. Leave us a great rating and a positive review. All of your comments, all of your reviews help us continue to make great content just for you.